Hello kiddies, welcome to almost December and another episode of Techspert Weekly, the crappy internet tech news show that, much like winter, is cold, indifferent and responsible for the death of many an old person. And on this week's show we have a squint at a literally magic new smartphone which is said to be compact and ultra skinny and yet still pack the kind of specs that'll make your nana gush like a leaky faucet. That's followed by a poetic bit of chin stroke and wankery in Uncle Spurt's wee one. And of course all lovingly rounded off with the regular spot of casual abuse known as viewer comments. Jingle me. Techspert Weekly! Now last month in China, Honor launched its Magic 8 and Magic 8 Pro flagship phones, heralding them as self-evolving AI smartphones which can learn your daily habits. So presumably they'll be able to save you time by automatically harassing your ex on Instagram whenever you start on the whiskey, and hopefully either order you a kebab or an ambulance when you start drinking straight from the bottle. And this pair of smart-ass smartphones should be going global on December the 10th at a plush Dubai beach resort, according to a leaked invite, so speedos at the ready. I think men are usually permitted to show a good bit of skin out there, although to be honest, one glimpse of your Uncle Spurt and his budgie smugglers might still get me locked up for life. And there's been quite a bit of interesting internet chat of further models being added to the Magic 8 family, possibly at this global launch. More specifically, an Honor 8 Mini handset, which the thought of that just gets my heart racing. Although it's also said to be 6.31 inches, which, yes, by 2025 standards, that's quite dinky, but not quite as compact as stubby-fingered folk like myself would really hope for. However, Leakster Digital Chat Station also reckons that the Mini will be just 5 to 6 millimeters thick, which is skinnier than most ultra-thin blowers out there, especially that fresh Honor 500 series, which, wasn't at all inspired by any Apple handsets or anything. So overall, the Honor 8 Mini sounds a bit like a skinnier version of Xiaomi's regular flagships like the Xiaomi 15 and the fresh new Xiaomi 17. That compact screen is apparently flat and boasts 1.5K resolution for crispy visuals, while there's bugger all compromise when it comes to the performance and the battery life. Honor has apparently gone full MediaTek Dimensity 9500 for the Honor 8 Mini, same as the Oppo Find X9 series and those Vivo X300s. So Wuthering Waves and other demanding games should run beautifully, as long as Honor's cooling tech is up to snuff of course. And unlike Samsung and Apple's skinny gits from 2025, you've got a 5370 mAh battery which should keep you going all day long, no worries. As for the camera tech, where you can expect a 50 meg main shooter with a 1/1.5 inch sensor, not bad at all for a compact device. And apparently the Honor 8 Mini also sports an actual telephoto shooter, although if this blower really is as skinny as expected, I reckon that'll just turn out to be your basic bog standard portrait shooter. Otherwise that camera bump will have to stick right out like an elephant's love truncheon. So anyway kiddies, that's the sitch with the new Honor smartphones. Oh, sitch, why did I say sitch? Makes me sound like a proper knob end, more of a proper knob end. And that's what's going on in the wonderful world of Honor. So how do you feel about all that? Are we talking elephant love truncheon time? Well, just over a week until the big global launch. Definitely let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And now it's time for this. Uncle Spurt's wee one. It's a short review, not his penis. So this big old slab clutched in my mitts is the IQOO 15, one of the beefiest things you can fit into your trousers outside of a quarter pounder with cheese. And personally, I wouldn't recommend sticking one of those in your pants because your crotch will suddenly attract every slavering drunk in town, much like your mum. My full IQOO 15 review is coming this very weekend, if I don't get so annihilated that I forget to actually edit the bugger. But right now, for your viewing pleasure, I will attempt a swift 1-minute review of the IQOO 15 using nothing but IQOO haikus. Proper beefcake this. Snap D8 Elite Gen 5, Wuthering Waves, Bosch. 6.85 inch, so big that your mum approves. Cinematic Spooge Fest. Origin OS, 4 years of OS updates, shame about crapware. Battery's even bigger, 7000 mAh, plus wireless charging. Triple lens rear cam, mostly recycled sensors, bag of sloppy arse. So what else is there? How about a glowing ring? Flashy wee bugger. So that's my short IQOO 15 review. I'm sure that the ancient Japanese poet who invented the haiku would at the very least be popping a semi right now. So time, as always, to round off this show with the usual Q&A shenanigans, which, to be fair, isn't really a Q&A, it's more like people tell me that I look like Andre Agassi on crystal meth, and then I tell them to go join the queue to f*** their mum. It's viewer comments. Viewer comments.
Honey, I have some bad news.
So the Nez Rookie says, Uncle Spurt sitting down in the intro like he's recording a trademarked YouTube apology video. I mean, yeah, I was mostly just bloody knackered, to be honest, and if I did actually ever do an apology video, it'd be about 3 hours long and involve a lot of grovelling to everyone's mum. I should probably actually apologise to James Corden as well for several years of completely unwarranted abuse, but, you know, f*** that c***. Alan Minium says, this is my fastest spurt. Solid work, sir, but remember, it's not about the speed, it's about the potency. Danderson says, Marek will undoubtedly present next week wearing your skin. I tell you bloody what, he's more than welcome to my skin if it means that he gets to do all the work and I just get to have a lie in. Brady21 Plays Indie Horror says, for what it's worth, I'm getting something out of these videos. Last week I bought all dressed potato chips and ate the entire family size bag in one sitting. So what you're getting out of these shows is probable health issues and almost certainly the shits. Which, to be fair, is still better than most, no doubt. And Brady21 Plays Indie Horror continues, this week I will try all of the bands of the year that you mentioned. I will say they are an acquired taste, so don't hate me forever if you just can't stand them whatsoever. But if you happen to like shouty, angry blokes shouting and being very angry indeed, well, you'll probably get on with it. Adrienne says, mate, your enthusiasm about these bands is amazing, makes me want to go. And the Waddler says, download lineup looks sick, definitely agree. Notice you didn't mention Mammoth, certainly a favourite of mine, as well as literally all the others you mentioned. You might have heard of him already, it's Wolfgang Van Halen. Aye, that lad certainly knows his way around a guitar, that's for sure, just like his old dad. And it's probably just as well, really, with a name like Wolfgang. You know, there's probably a limited number of vocations where that would really suit. You know, Wolfgang Solicitors, it doesn't really work. Wolfgang Funeral Parlour, just sounds like you're going to chuck the body in the woods, let the beasts have a go at it. But yeah, download looks proper good this year, so hopefully, touch wood, be able to do a Techspert Weekly from there next year. Reading out viewer comments while Pussy Licker smashed some skulls in the background. iPuttes2 says, hi Uncle Spurt, in the words of Aristotle, the right mean between Malawi and Serbia is Romania. Here you have both safaris with wild brown bears on the side of every mountain road, as well as cheap firewater to kill your neurons in style, not to mention popular vampires, some overpriced beaches for your sunburn, and sour soups. I mean, frankly, you had me at cheap firewater, although I'm not entirely sure I'd want to get completely bollocksed if there's just wild brown bears knocking about the place. Might end up trying to get a bit friendly with one of them and then end up as one of those sour soups. Sven Gossens says, greetings from across the pond, Dutchie here, telling you your mum said hi. And Ed Straker says, here we are in Northern Australia watching the Spurt archives while enjoying a Category 3 cyclone outside. Hoping the electricity lasts so we can keep watching. I've got to admit, I'm completely clueless when it comes to all the different categories of cyclone. The last time I experienced a violent wind was after a particularly potent chicken vindaloo. But I'm guessing that Category 3 ain't good. I hope you guys are alright, and frankly, this is just further proof that humans really aren't meant to inhabit Australia in any way. Not only does the local wildlife want to murder the shit out of you, but even the air wants you dead. A long-haired freak says, you are a modern-day tech troubadour, a true vocabulary virtuoso. Well, I think the fact that I couldn't even bloody read out that single sentence pretty much shoots that theory to ribbons. And Will Rivera says, why is S considered higher than A? I take it you mean why is S tier considered higher than A tier? Absolutely haven't the Scoobiest, mate. That's just always the way it's been from like Japanese video games. Why is S tier considered better than A tier?
The S tier sits above A because it originates from the Japanese grading system.
See, all from the Japanese video games, basically. So A tier is considered very good, whereas S is exemplary. I still remember the first time I got an S grade in one of the later Devil May Cries, I think it was. I almost shit my pants. I was like, oh my god, I finally did it. Not realizing that there was also an SS tier and an SSS tier. Dungeon 3146 says, Xiaomi 17 Pro Max review when, Unk? If they ever get around to actually doing a global launch of it, to be honest, because there are so many phones right now that I really can't also be bothered to do ones that are China only, especially as I plan on spending December as horizontal as possible with enough whiskey gushing through my veins to slay the average African elephant. The Bismarck says, man, it's been a while since I've seen Veronica around these parts. And Michael W. 1959 says, I'd forgotten about the lovely Veronica. I guess she didn't make the move to the new gaff. Veronica is currently enjoying a much-deserved retirement over in the Algarve, working on her tan and taking many a selfie with adoring fans who recognise her from her starring role in Techspert videos of yesteryear. No, sadly, that's complete bollocks. She's probably stuffed up in the attic somewhere in a box with a bunch of USB drives and Bluetooth headsets. And Dan Pajamas says, I'm glad for the anime wallpaper jingle this week. I've been waiting a couple of weeks for you to do it because I'd forgotten where they were from and I couldn't be asked to scan through a load of old videos. Fair play, mate, and for anyone else who was wondering.
Wall.alphacoders.com, wall.alphacoders.com, that's where my wallpapers come from, wall.alphacoders.com.
Crappy Entertainment says JJK thumbnail wallpaper soon. By JJK, I'm assuming you mean Jujutsu Kaisen, I think it's called, and I really need to get back into that because I did read the first few issues of it, and then I fell into a very deep Chainsaw Man shaped hole and never really emerged. Sigbrer257 says, my work phone is an iPhone SE, the first ever iPhone I've had the misfortune of using. It's an absolute shower of shit. It's not just a shower of shit, my friend, it's a veritable Niagara Falls of shit. Such a relentless and awe-inspiring cascade of shit that the human mind can't even begin to comprehend. Evangelos Katsimprus says, will you do a Realme UI 7 review just like you did for HyperOS, ColorOS, etc.? Well, good buddy, nothing would make me harder. A Replicant Dream says, by the way, I'm just here for the large trenches, aren't we all, buddy? And better make this the last one for the week. Etienne Sharp says, anyone else get a terror response when Uncle Spurt mentioned a mankini, just in case that photograph was about to appear again to scar our retinas? Oh, you mean this one? And don't worry, I wouldn't be cruel enough to show that again completely uncensored anyway. Because apparently some people actually watch this show while they're having their lunch. Anyway, massive thanks for watching this shower of shit to the bitter end, and a massive thanks to everyone who commented last week. As always, please do tappity tap your comments down in the comments box bit below, and we'll get through as many of those as possible next week. And speaking of next week,
Next week, what the f*** is next week?
And of course next week it's December, bloody f***, and that means it's the beginning of Christmas piss-up season. And this is the best time of year to be media because there's lots of Christmas preview type events going on where basically you go along, you stand there and you stare at tech and pretend to be interested in it while simultaneously hoying as much free mulled wine down your neck as possible before they finally catch on and turf you out. I am hoping to shoot a couple of shorts at some of those, but some of it is embargoed until January, the big CES launch over in Vegas and everything, and by bloody January I'll have forgotten everything that I've seen anyway because my brain will basically be swimming in alcohol. Oh, well, next week, sadly, there is no Techspert Weekly, just to revert back to form, but it's not because I'm buggering off on some jolly. Rather, I'll be doing my obligatory annual Best Smartphones of the Year video, where I bang on about the least cack tech I've had crammed in my pants these past 12 months. Full review of this bad boy going live over the weekend. My review of the Poco F8 Pro will be going up next week as well. I've already reviewed the Poco F8 Ultra, so check that out if you haven't done so already. It's a banger. Please do poke subscribe and ding that notifications bell if you can possibly live without all of that. And have yourselves a ruddy, wonderful weekend. Cheers, everybody. Love you.